Hello, and welcome to demola. And today's video, we're going to be doing something a bit different. We're going to be talking about now, from July, how do you prepare for a medical school application in October, right? It's going to be a big summer. I think you already know that if you're applying for medicine. So you need to think, what are the things that I need to consider and do to prep myself well? Whether that's UCAT preparation, mock preparation, the whole lot. We're going to talk about it in this video here. So no time to waste. Let's get straight into it. Before we even get into anything, I'm gonna say you need to rest. Now, you've been going at this from September all the way to July. So many different exams going on, endotopic tests, mock exams, whatever you've had, you need to rest, okay? Because when it goes to year 13, it's gonna go so quickly. Like this turnover from September to October and you're handing in your thing, and then you're having to prepare for interviews, the whole lot, it's gonna get stressful, right? So you need to at least have some time to relax. So I'd say probably the first 2 weeks, you can afford to take off. Yeah, you can afford to just say, okay, I'm gonna relax. Obviously dependent on when your UCAT is, which we'll talk about later, but you need to make sure that you're at least having some form of relaxation. So hanging out with friends, for example, family, whatever you need to do, just make sure that you are rested because it is gonna get quite intense from here on out. Okay, now that we've said that, what we need to do is find out, do you actually wanna do medicine? Now, it's gonna be a lot of time and money, right? If you decide, I'm gonna go through this whole application process. I'm gonna pay for my UCAT, pay for my UCAT resources, whatever you need to do to tuition, whatever you need. If you do all of that and then find out, alright, I low-key don't even want to do this when it comes to October, then what was the point? Right, now is the perfect time to do a bit of reflection. So think back on the year, think about what kind of things did you do outside of just your course or your A-levels, right? Did you like read a book that really intrigued you, the specialty that you want to look into? Have you done work experience? And if you haven't, get it done now. So work experience I think is like perfect for figuring out if you want to do medicine. I was like not fully sold at the end of year 12, but then I started my work experience. I was going into hospital, talking to patients. And when I connected to that human side of medicine, I was like, yes, this is where I want to be, right? And that's what kind of pushed me, like tipped me to the kind of edge of thinking, yes, I want to apply now. So make sure that you are doing those things, or you're at least having reflections on those things to help you out. Another thing, read books. So I've read a book that really helped me to get into the mind of how does the consultant think and like how is their job affecting their day-to-day life. And I think getting those experiences or like hearing about those experiences is also really good because you need to envision this is going to be like the life that you want for yourself. Right? And you don't want to sign up for something that you don't like. Another telltale sign, let's say that you've been doing your A-levels, you're not messing with biology, you don't like it, then medicine's probably not for you in that circumstance because you need to do a lot of biology, right? Anatomy, physiology, all of that is biology. So make sure that you actually do like your A-level subjects. Another one, chemistry, it gets so much more difficult in year 13. It's a lot better if you actually like it. So just make sure that you are looking in terms of things that have happened in year 12 or at least making sure that you're getting experiences that will help to inform you, do I really want to do medicine? Okay, let's talk about UCAT. Now, this is a very different test to anything you would have done before, I would say. I think the most similar that we maybe could get to is a theory test for driving, right? Now, in that way, what I'm talking about is UCAT focuses a lot on pattern recognition, right? There are specific types of questions that can come up in your different domains, which are situational judgment, decision-making, quantitative reasoning, and verbal reasoning, yeah? Same type of questions kind of repeat, and you need to just be used to being able to answer them. So, in terms of preparation, you need to kind of break it up. First of all, book the test. Please book the test, yeah? You don't want to get into a situation, especially if you haven't done it, please do it now as you're seeing it if you haven't done it. But you need to book the test so that you have a test date in goal, yeah? And if you don't do the UCAT, you can't apply for medicine. So, please do the UCAT. Now, once that's done, you need to have like this kind of goal in mind. Right, so think about what are your ideal schools that you want to apply to. They'll have specific UCAT thresholds that you can look up on their websites, probably something about application information, or even the student room is fantastic. Look at that, people can give you information about what kind of schools you need to be aiming for to apply for that school. Now, once you have test date, goal in mind, you need to get to work, right? So typically when you're structuring it out, I'd say like morning session, evening session, right? Because it can just be like tap, 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 tap all day. That's going to be boring. And it's also not going to stick into your head that way because we need to have the break in between, yeah? So once you have that, get to work, do the questions, right? I typically kind of start with breaking it up into different segments. So for example, practicing like one day maybe verbal and quantitative, next day maybe decision making SGT, just to separate it out and figure out which areas am I struggling with, which ones am I not. So I didn't use Medentry, I used Medify. And Medify was really good in terms of it showed you the question types that you struggle more with and you could target those. And it would also show you what domains you're struggling more with and you can target it. So I think that's really good because it kind of builds a picture of what areas could I get my mark up so I can get to my aspirational target score. Right? So definitely look at the data there because the data is so crucial and important. And then what I would just say as well is I wouldn't start with mock exams. I would kind of delay until maybe you're looking at like the 3-week mark, and then I would go for the mock exams, see what you're getting, and then see which areas do you need to improve on further from there. So I think that's the best way to kind of approach UCAT, but unfortunately a lot of it is just kind of getting on those questions and just keep on doing them and notice what you're getting wrong and then target that. Okay, application now. So, still in the background you're revising for UCAT, but you also need to think, okay, I need to put words on the page for my personal statement. And I know I'm an oldie, so they've changed it from what we used to do. But I know that you get your 3 questions and you answer those. Now, I found it quite useful. I had that done by the end of year 12. My school was like really on us, especially like the Oxford medicine lot. They were really on us to get it done really early. So we had it all written out. But if it's not, get it done over the summer. So make sure that you're writing it up. If you have like an older sibling who's maybe really good at writing, thank God I do. My sister's amazing at it. But literally just kind of go and like get feedback on it. If you have maybe someone who's in medicine that's done this before, also get feedback from them on your personal statement. I think that's quite good. And then it will just help you to kind of write a good one. Now, there's always like rumours and mumblings that personal statements don't matter too much for medicine. I would say just write a good one. Yeah, even if you think it's not going to matter and they'll look at the interview more, just write a good one. Yeah, there's no reason not to, and you have time over the summer. So definitely focus on that. And I think as well, people who tend to have better personal statements is because they have done their work experience, they've done volunteering, they've read books, and they're really more informed about what a career in medicine or as a medical student looks like, and that's why they then have a better kind of ability to kind of reflect on it and put it down on the page when they're writing their personal statement. So that's what I think is the most important thing for personal statements, your experiences and why they've informed you that you want to do medicine. That's really what you want to be writing about. And you just kind of have to shoehorn that into the 3 questions that they've given you. So again, I didn't do the 3 questions. We had just the essay. So just make sure that you are kind of reflecting on the experiences you've had. Ideally, you do it at the time, but if not, think about them now and then kind of brainstorm those ideas, get them on the paper, and then hopefully when you get back in September, there'll be a lot of teachers willing to give you a lot of support in terms of writing it. There definitely should be. Okay, and finalement, we need to kind of reflect on year 12 with an aim of pushing into year 13. Let's describe that in a bit more detail. So, look at the revision that you did in year 12. Did it work? Did it not work? So, and that's a question only you're going to be able to answer. Yeah? Did flashcards really work for you? Yes, no. If not, we're not doing flashcards again. Yeah, let's change up to something like blurting or like concept maps that might help me a bit more. That's a decision that you need to look at. You need to audit within yourself. Beautiful word. But you need to look at that within yourself and you need to make the relevant changes. Yeah, that's very important. At some point, you're going to have to bite the bullet and do mock papers. You could maybe start with the AS papers. Yeah, because you've covered all that. So maybe start with those. Get used to doing those exam papers because by the time it hits November, by the time it hits flipping like March, April, you need to be doing so many exam papers, right, to prepare yourself for exams. So make sure that you are doing them, right? Practice questions, also really useful. But just make sure that you're getting into that habit of doing questions because that is, I think, the best way to prepare for your exams when it comes to May, June, yeah? So make sure that you are doing all of that. Now, another thing that you're going to really have to do is think, okay, where was I really effective in terms of my revision and why was I not? And by that I mean place, right? Okay, for example, in year 12, we used to goof around at the back of the 6th form centre all the time, yeah? It had to go, okay? Love my friends, but it had to go because I needed to make sure I was locked in, ready to go, revising, so that I would be on form when it came to mock exams. Because that's going to help me with my predicted grades, that's going to help me to know it so that I can do well in the final exam. So you need to think, where am I kind of not as productive? Do I need to start kind of distancing myself from that space? I'm not saying don't be friends with them. I'm saying that in that moment, in that free period, go to the library, work for yourself. Yeah? So I think you just need to know which places you work, which techniques work, and then that's what you will help to carry into year 13. I would also recommend just doing a bit of revision before year 13. Because I know like it's so hard like coming back from a long break and then having to study again. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's like, it takes so much to kind of get those cogwheels turning again. So I think what you should do is just do a tiny bit before to ease yourself into it. So whether that be a few flashcards to recap some things in year 12, if you're really eager, and this is something that I did, I started learning some of the year 13 topics before I started year 13. And I didn't necessarily understand them well, but at least I had a bit of a foundation knowledge for when we learned it in class. And that helps just kind of ease the transition from year 12, year 13, exam time. Yeah? And you're still learning. So those are kind of my best tips in terms of probably in the last like 2 weeks of the summer, I'd say. Start to kind of review things and try maybe, if you can, to learn something new, and that will help you to just have a nice transition into the year. Okay, so let's round it off. I think of everything we've talked today, the most important one is make sure you really want to do medicine. Yeah, it's a not good, not ideal position to be in where you've stressed yourself out over the summer, preparing for your UCAT and everything like this, doing the mock exams, doing the interviews, yada yada yada, and then you come to May and you're like, I actually don't really want to do medicine anymore. Yeah? So make sure you have taken that time to kind of think, is this kind of the vision that I see for myself in the future? If not, fine, we don't hold people hostage. But if yes, you're joining the club. So make sure you prepare well for everything that you need to do in the summer to set yourself up well for year 13. That's all for me. And also, that rest thing, please, that rest thing that we said at the start, very, very important. Because if you don't rest, year 13 is going to be so stressful. And honestly, although you have to try out for your exams, you don't want to kind of lose yourself in it. Yeah, so make sure that you do rest as well. But that's all for me. So if you like the video, please drop a like and a subscribe if you can. If you have any questions about anything that I've said, drop them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer. We're in quite a free moment because schools are off, exams are over, so we'll be able to respond quite quickly. We also got our TikTok and Instagram, both at demola. Links will be in the description below. But thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.